Michael Slager did not have to deal with a guilty conviction for either murder or manslaughter in the shooting death of Walter Scott. If you can remember, Walter Scott was the man who ran away from the police officer as the cop shot him 5 times in the back. Now, when we reported on this story last week, the update was that there was one juror who just simply would not, under any circumstances, convict Officer Slager. However, there's another update to this story. The foreman, who was the only black individual on the jury, spoke to the Today Show, and he talked about how there's actually a lot more information that the media is missing. So he wanted to give you guys the full story and his perspective, so take a quick look.
You personally, when you prepared and started deliberating, were you prepared to convict Officer Slager?
At that point in time, yes. At that point in time, yes. Initially, it was going to be murder. But after we looked at the evidence and read the laws and looked at the things that were presented to us by the judge, we had to come to find out that he didn't do anything malicious. He had manslaughter when he had a brief disturbance and reason for that moment. So based on the law, that would be classified under manslaughter, voluntary manslaughter.
It was reported that there was one lone juror who held out, but you say that that was not the case. This was an evolution of a number of people. Right. What happened inside there? How many jurors?
And that's why I'm here to correct that and speak up for my jurors who were with me in the deliberation room, because I come to find out that the media misconstrued that particular letter. When that letter was submitted on that Friday, it was because we had one individual who was just deadlocked, that he wasn't changing, but yet we had 5 other individuals who were undecided. And so because of that, we went, and when the judge asked me, I believe that we could have deliberated just a little bit more to see if we could sway that particular juror and get those who were undecided to make a decision.
So there's 2 aspects of that. One is that he thought if they had a little bit more time, maybe they could have swayed the main holdout.
Right.
But the other part we didn't know, I think, is bigger news, that there was actually 5 jurors who were like, yeah, is that really even manslaughter when you shoot a guy in the back 5 times? I mean, if it's a cop doing it, aren't they allowed to murder anyone they like?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, look, based on what we've seen in regard to evidence, it seems pretty clear that what Walter Scott did was wrong. I mean, I'm not Walter Scott, what Michael Slager, the police officer, what he did was wrong, simply because Walter Scott was running from him, so he wasn't an imminent threat. And then it seems like Slager himself knew he did something wrong because he planted evidence to indicate that Walter Scott reached for his taser, and that wasn't the case. It's all on tape. We're not making this up. I mean, we've showed you guys the tape several times. I'm tired of looking at that shooting, to be honest with you. It's difficult to watch. But nonetheless, it is interesting that there were as many as 5 jurors who were undecided. Now, there's a little bit of confusion in my mind because there were 2 possible convictions. There was the murder conviction, right? And then there's the conviction for manslaughter. So manslaughter indicates that there wasn't, he didn't plan out the shooting ahead of time. It wasn't premeditated, right? There was no ill intent, something happened and he reacted. Okay, I don't know why you can't convict him of manslaughter. Murder has a more difficult standard, I get that.
No, I think that the lawyer who wrote the article in Above the Law, the editorial today, who said we should start doing jury nullification, and if you attack white people, we should let you go. That's crazy, okay? But his frustration is justified. He says, apparently, I, as a black guy, can get murdered by cops, and white people will let him go no matter what. No matter what, right? I mean, this case could not get any clearer. I would have voted for murder based on the evidence I've seen, okay? And because murder is premeditated. Now, he doesn't know Walter Scott. He didn't plan this out weeks in advance. But he had a moment there, clear as day on tape. You could run after him, tackle him, arrest him. You know, you could let him go. There's a lot of different.
You tased him? I mean, you had a taser.
Yeah, the taser that you planted next to him that you still had on you. There's 100 things you could have done. And he very calmly took out his gun and shot him. That's premeditated. But okay, look, it's easy to say that here, but once you get into trial, the defense explains, and they're like, oh, but cops have a really difficult job, and you know, and then they'll present all this stuff about poor Slager, and once when he was doing an arrest, he had a hangnail, and so he was really just always afraid. He's a scaredy cat. You remember in the Zimmerman trial, They said he was the biggest coward in the country, right?
That was part of the
That
defense.
was part of his defense. Like, oh my God, he was the worst at self-defense, and he was such a coward, and it confuses the jury, and that's okay. A defense attorney is supposed to do that. You're supposed to do the best defense you can, right? So if at the end of that, even the jury foreman, he was the only black person on the jury. 11 others were white. If they all go, no, Cenk, we don't agree. That's not murder. It wasn't premeditated. It's manslaughter. I go, okay, that's what the jury decided.
Yeah, I actually disagree with you on the murder conviction. I think it was manslaughter. I don't think it was premeditated. I think that he had a knee-jerk reaction.
No, that son of a bitch shot that guy in cold blood. He shot him in cold blood because he didn't want to run after him. He's one of the worst people I've ever seen. And not just that, the racial part of it is big. There's no question about that. But it's worse than that. Slager didn't feel like, it's not worth me running 30 feet. I'll just kill the guy. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want that guy anywhere near the streets ever again in his entire life. Murder, murder, murder. Okay? But again, I get it. People have different opinions. Mm-hmm. If the jury said manslaughter, no problem. If the jury says not guilty, now again, this was a mistrial. They didn't say not guilty. It was a hung jury, and so they had. Hopefully, they'll have a new trial, but he might get a plea deal, etc. But they would not convict him. That's insanity. And so, if I'm an African American in this country, I'm not an African American, and I'm super frustrated because that means every black guy I know can get killed by a cop and has almost no chance of getting justice. That is a super scary thought.
Yeah, I mean, that video could not be clearer. And this was one of the rare police shooting cases where, you know, based on what I've seen in public opinion, most people sided with those who were outraged over the shooting, right? Usually there's a split based on political ideology and all that. But in this case, regardless of individuals' races, regardless of, you know, where they stand politically, they watched that video and they're like, why is he shooting this guy? Like, why did he shoot him 5 times in the back as he was running away?
Anna's right. The Republicans were on the right side on this. Even the most right-wing Republicans generally came out and said the right things in this particular case. But yet, when it came, push came to shove, and they're on that jury, and you got 11 white folks and 1 black person on the jury, all of a sudden, 5 were undecided, 1 was a definite no. So half of them were like, I mean, really? We're going to put a white cop in jail for shooting a black guy in the back and then planting evidence? No, I don't think so. Together we can change the media, make it more representative of you and not the powerful. Come join us, make a difference. tytnetwork.com/join.